Yes, sir. So now,
It's clear.
officially, I again welcome you. I'm so sorry for this technical glitches which keeps on coming. I'm so sorry for that.
That's no issue.
Mr. Vijay, to start with, I would like to understand, like, you are currently, you have worked in various domains. That's what I understand.
Yeah, so let me give a brief introduction, so that would help probably.
Yeah.
That would be
I worked in predominantly in the IT space for
Mm-hmm.
almost 25 years. I was into IT space. When I was working in IT, into the leadership roles, I was also managing my own team, L&D needs, right? Of course, in collaboration with the central L&D team and finance team and all those things, right? So that is one. But in 2021, I quit and I started my own freelance consulting. So in this role also, I work with a lot of organizations, for fulfilling their L&D needs. So I was just telling Raji that I can tell
I can
from that experience, what are the challenges in the L&D.
sure.
And I work
And I
predominantly
work predominantly
three
three
different spaces. One is employee development.
Trying to tell us. What I understand is you are trying to tell us that the basic and the first need is where the departmental managers should be able to identify the need of what exactly is the skill gap as per the organization goal in an employee and as per the individual development also. So there are two-fold things that the manager at the department level has to see, that is the organization goals need, and second is basically the individual development need, right?
Exactly.
Then only a complete holistic talent development can happen.
That's true. Yeah.
Perfect. So I mean, when we are doing this, like, uh, is there any technology intervention that also helps doing this process in more smarter and smoother way?
Yes, yes, definitely, right. See, I mean, again, depending on the size of the organization, right? See, if the size of the organization is huge, manual process is very difficult, very cumbersome, right?
Hmm.
Because manually looking at individual papers or whatever it is, but instead, definitely the system helps. But only thing is, what I'm saying is, the system also, there should be some checks, right? Okay, whether individuals have, for example, if I say that I'm very good at communication skills,
Hmm.
right, and when my manager approves it, what is the, what is the mechanism there to say that, okay, my manager has reviewed it,
Ah,
right? Instead of, simply approving it, okay, whatever my employee says, I'm okay with that kind of thing, right?
right.
So that kind of, moderation is required somewhere through systemic checks,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? But again, if we put more checks also, it becomes bureaucratic, right?
Right.
So the balance need to be maintained. But at the same time, I would say that at least, the minimum level of checks is required to understand that at least whether this training needs assessment happened in a proper manner, right? So once that is done, then probably, the analysis parts can take over. And definitely the technology helps in the analysis part, because assessment is more of a manual process in the sense like individuals have to input. But when it comes to the analysis part, probably it can, system can generate a lot of insights, based on, okay, the background of the person, what kind of communication skills is required. Like say person is coming from rural background, and then, if he needs a different kind of communication skills versus a person who is coming from a urban background, probably that person may need a different kind of communication skills, right? Again, the communication skills is not just talking, right? It can be a lot of things like influencing, negotiation skills, or like, assertive communication. Because what we see is, when we say communication is good, sometimes people become very aggressive when they talk,
Correct.
or some people very passive. But
Correct.
how do we understand that person needs really the assertive communication skill training, right? So those kind of things, we need to understand. But that can be done probably if we do an assessment properly, and then the analysis can be done through systemic manner. So using,
Perfect.
process and
Perfect,
all.
sir. So, what I understand is the stages that you suggest as a consultant is: first is assessment, second is analysis. But more importantly, sir, um, at the beginning of the year, when the exercise that the L&D has to come into action for talent development, how important is this from the organization's perspective? Does it really contribute to the organization's goal?
Definitely, it contributes to the organization goal, because see, the learning should be continuous, right?
Hmm.
There is no other way. I mean, people have to continuously update, especially with whatever we are seeing in the market, right? Any industry, if you take, there are a lot of things are happening. The new things are coming into the industries, and
Hmm.
people need to keep themselves up to date, right? So they need to do. Only thing is, L&D team also. I mean, again, when I say L&D team, sometimes they will be very neutral, in the sense like, okay, this is not my job. My job is only to consolidate the learning and development needs and provide the training. But probably they also need to take one more step ahead and see, understand what is happening in their industry, right?
Mhm.
So that they can also contribute effectively to the entire process. See,
Yeah.
when they go to the, like, board or CEO and say that, these are the requirements, we need to look into, they need to have that kind of, understanding about the industry.
Right. So you're saying that L&D as a department is very much undermined, or they undermine themselves, or sometimes even the organization undermine them. But
Correct.
important is they have a very important role to play in the organization. The organization should equally look at them in terms of meeting the organization goals or the profitability. Because what you are trying, or what I am understanding from your discussion, is that these are the talents, these individuals, human resource, are the people who make the goals achieve.
Correct. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
for any organization to be successful, it's important that learning and development department is very active and contributive towards the talent development.
Definitely. Like, for example, I can tell you one example, right? When I was working in in automotive industry. For automotive industry, probably the vision is, we want to make the best cars in the world,
Right.
right? But when it comes to the L&D, how that can be translated into the L&D goal, right? So in one of the organization, the L&D goal, L&D team, they have come up with the goal saying that, we don't build the cars, but we build the people who build the cars.
Correct.
And that is where they are connecting with the organizational goal, right? So I think that kind of vision needs to be there
Mm.
in the L&D team, so that they
Right.
can contribute in more effective manner, rather than just looking at, okay, L&D team is just one part of it, and they just do a training needs kind of thing, right? See, that is one thing. And second thing, also sometimes their hands are tied, right? Because
Mm.
as you said, the people don't give them the enough value, right? And whenever you see the layoffs, or whenever you see the budget cuts, the first cut is happening in the L&D team, right? I mean, I'm not saying that they're removing the people from L&D team, but they will say that, okay, now I cannot offer so many trainings to my team,
Mm.
right? The first cut will happen in the L&D.
Mm.
I have seen, which is not correct, right? I mean, again, like, when you want to develop your organization, right? Obviously, you need to develop your employees. Without employees, there are no organizations, right? Organization cannot exist. But unfortunately, what happens is, they will cut the L&D budget. So that way also L&D team is, tied. Their hands are tied.
But in this case, this the digital technology, which is already so much in action as of now, whereby the digitalization of the complete training process has happened, which helps budgeting the whole process. Because somebody who was spending, say, 10x amount may now only spend only X amount in terms of training. But the whole L&D team, yes, has an important role to play there, because though the trainings are digitalized, but the process is human, because we are dealing with humans.
Correct.
So don't you think this can help?
See, the digitalization of the learning content definitely helped, especially during the pandemic time. Everybody moved towards it. There is no doubt about it, right? And it helped people to learn the things, new things, and all. But how much it is effective? right? I have my own doubts, right? Because see, some kind of skills definitely we need the manual intervention, right?
Yes.
Everything cannot be digitalized, right?
Right.
Like say, for example, communication skills. If you want to improve the communication skills of a person, I cannot ask them to just go through a Word document or a e-learning content and say, okay, now after completing that course, I cannot say that your communication skill is improved,
Mm.
right? Because what I have seen is only the theory, right? Really, whether they're improving it, or how to speak. For example, even assertive communication skills, right? Maybe I give some case study and people try to fill it in the e-learning content. Whether that is sufficient, I don't think so, right?
So according
So
to you, there should be a workshop where they present their communication skills, and
yeah,
depending upon that, then you can define whether somebody has really improved or not.
exactly.
So
See,
kind of a hybrid process where
uh,
digital plus personal intervention is needed.
correct. Exactly. But unfortunately, now what happens is after pandemic, everybody is moving towards the digitalization and everything,
Yeah, yeah.
which helps to certain extent, reducing the budget.
Right, right.
All those things are there, and accessibility is there. Anybody can learn from anywhere. All those benefits are there. But at the same time, people need to be conscious of, okay, how much it can be effective. Maybe
Correct.
it is effective to 50%. If you want to take it beyond that, you need to have that kind of manual intervention there, right?
Right.
So that's one thing. But
So
see, earlier what
certain types
happened?
of training probably you say may not require manual intervention. For example, say technical skills they can learn on themselves, submit assignments. Their assignments can be checked, and
Yeah,
if they are able to do, great. But when it is practical, say use of a machine or communication skills, or for example, even leadership skills for that matter, all this will require debates, it will require workshop, it will require an environment where they are able to demonstrate what they have learned out of it, right?
correct. Exactly. I mean,
Perfect.
like, for example, emotional intelligence, if you take, right? I mean, it's easy to tell them, okay, go through this material. But
Correct.
how much it will be improved, only we can see it in the real field, right? So that is where.
Right. What kind of workshops or what kind of training do you provide, sir? Or
It's basically like, it's employee development.
mm,
Though I have like both technology and psychology background, I'm restricting myself only to now the soft skills and leadership skills.
mhm.
Uh, that. And then employee engagement programs also I do. And then employee well-being, the mental
How
health, body.
important is an employee well-being program for an organization?
It is very important, right? See, the only when your mind works properly, you can be productive, right? And when you have that kind of social support, you will be able to produce more. But unfortunately, what is happening is, everybody is going through the stress, right? Whatever it is, little or more, right? How do they manage the stress? They are not able to, cope up with it, basically.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
And that is, see, I mean, again, the stress is, it will not be demonstrated in one day. I mean, the sense like, it will not come out in one day, right? Everything gets bottled up, and on one fine day, it comes as a, burst, right?
Mhm.
But by that time, it is too late to do any intervention, right? And that is what I teach in everywhere, saying that, see, 70% of the times we don't need any psychologist or psychiatrist. Only thing is we need that kind of social support, either in form of family, friends, colleagues, manager. If somebody can talk to each other and somebody can listen to us very non-judgmentally and empathetically, that's enough. Because all I want to do is I want to vent out my feelings,
Correct.
and I don't need any support bigger than that, right? Somebody needs to just listen to me. Unfortunately, that is not there, right? So that is the reason why we need psychologists and psychiatrists, right?
Correct.
Because otherwise, I mean, like, even if you see in I mean, in the office hallway conversations, just people say hi, good morning, and they say how are you, but without even waiting for other person's response, people just move on, right? So it
Right.
became like, a very robotic way of saying how are you, right?
Right.
It is not the real intention. Okay, it is more of a courtesy, hi, how are you, and they just move on, right?
Right.
So, and everybody is, struggling with the timelines, budget, everything, right? So that's the reason why all these burnout, stress management is coming out nowadays in a big way, right? Otherwise,
Right.
actually, we don't need
Especially
that.
mental well-being is coming out in a very, very big way.
And
And
then
yes,
other thing is
emotional
taboo.
intelligence too.
Other thing is taboo because people don't want to talk about their mental health issues.
Correct.
People can go and tell their manager, I'm not feeling well, I'm having fever. But the same thing they will not be able to tell, if it is a mental health issue. So all
Correct.
those challenges are there. So
Right. So according to you, the whole of L&D function, or I can say it's more than L&D, we can say that it is a function of employee engagement and development. That's the
exactly,
whole process. So we
that
can
is
restrict it to just learning and development, but it is completely human resource development and engagement that
true.
should be the forte, and that's what will help the organization to grow ultimately.
Correct, exactly.
And
Uh,
according to you, technology intervention can smoothen the process. But yes, the analysis part, yes, as you said, analysis can be done by the software, but the assessment has to be done individually. And the kind of engagement that is needed should be provided by the departmental heads or
correct.
the departments. And
Yeah,
of course, as a whole organization, then.
yeah. It is not, just the responsibility of L&D team, right? It is
Correct.
the responsibility of individual team manager or whoever it is, right? Because at the end of the day, the team has to deliver whatever is required.
Perfect.
So, L&D team cannot say that it is not my responsibility. At the same time, the team leader cannot say it is not my responsibility. It is in a collaboration,
Great.
right?
That's
So
great.
that
In
is one thing.
fact, that is a real good discussion that we had with you. And we are also building up our software in a similar lines, where we say that L&D, it's just not about learning and development. It is all about complete employee engagement, even if it is digital, or it should be a hybrid process, or sometimes it can be a classroom process too, or sometimes it can be a process where a complete environment, a peaceful environment is also needed. Over and above home, office, digital, there is something else too needed to develop the talent. So,
Exactly. See, the other thing is, probably because you are creating a system, right? So we need to understand the adult learning methodologies also, right? So see, some people, grab very easily if you show them some kind of visuals, and some people are more interested in auditory thing. Some people are more interested in kinesthetic, that is learning on the on hands kind, hands-on kind of thing, right? So I think when we are creating any e-learning content or any system, probably we need to provide the mechanism for people to choose those methods, right?
right,
Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or
correct.
maybe a combination of this, right? That is more important
Yeah, it
because
should be based on differential learning depending upon individual's
right,
requirement.
individual requirements, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
So when the e-learning content comes, probably that is where the hands-on thing is missing, right? Because especially on the soft skill side, leadership skill sides, and all. As you mentioned, technology, yes, maybe we can give them the assignment and they do something, right? But when it comes to the things which require more of art, not science, right? Because that will improve over a period of time with regular practice. Those kind of things probably we need to
right.
embed into these things.
So maybe even if it is digital, it should have a hybrid where online also, if it is included, where we are, meeting face to face, and we are able to discuss, we are able to demonstrate, we are able to debate, then it works 100 times better than just having a process which is self-paced.
Correct. Again, I just want to give you one example, right? See, if you have a offline classroom, there are you can group the people into different groups, right? And 4 or 5 people sit in one place. But you can monitor every group how the discussions are happening. But when it comes to like say Zoom, you have a breakout rooms, right?
Yes,
Obviously, you cannot go into every breakout room at the same time, right? You can
right.
go into one breakout room, be there for 1 minute, go to another breakout room, but you will not be able to assess really whether everybody is contributing and how individuals are contributing. That is difficult part,
Right.
right?
Unless you
So
have a team lead for each and every room.
again, probably that's another thing, right?
Right.
Uh, but again, there are other things that if you give it to a peer to observe and report
Right.
back, probably that becomes a problem, right? So those kind of challenges are always there.
External consultant or external team lead from the L&D can
Ah,
help, where a team
correct,
of L&D can help of how things are happening together.
exactly. But now when it comes to L&D, for example, right? So whether they will have time to monitor all these breakout rooms, whether they are really interested in doing that or whether they take it as a, more of a my routine task kind of thing. Again, that is different, right? So
That's all. It's how they plan it and how they
yeah,
visualize it.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
And one more big challenge, ma'am. I'm sorry. Am I taking more time?
Yes,
Or do
yes,
we have
no, no,
time?
sir, please.
I think one more big challenge what I am finding nowadays is the skilled trainers versus consultants. The L&D teams nowadays they are giving it to the vendors,
Yeah.
and then the vendors they employ some soft skill or who are technical skill trainers, right? So, but what happens is now, the trainer is not able to understand the real requirement from the organization, because most of the times vendors talk to the L&D team, right? They don't allow trainers to talk because they think that these people will take their, trainings or whatever it is. So what happens is there is always a gap between what they are expecting versus what trainer delivers.
Mhm.
So that probably needs to be, addressed. Otherwise, it becomes a big problem,
So
right?
training need analysis is first thing that should happen well.
Yes, but if the trainer doesn't know what is the expectation of the organization, and the vendors who are dealing with the organization, if they are not capable or if they are not talented enough to extract the requirements properly, then the training is not effective, right? That is one thing which I'm facing in a lot of things, right? Because when we go there, like for example, again, like in the same way, when one of the session I went, uh, for the it's a kind of customer service and communication skills training, right?
Right.
So I delivered like 2 days, and participants are very happy. But then when the participants like the team leader or team manager, because that person did not attend the session, but that person said that I was more expecting a voice and accent training, not the regular communication training. But then that was not informed to me. So now this is a gap, because what organization expects versus what we deliver, that is not matching, right? So
Right.
probably
Right.
that is another thing where we need to really maybe through your system, whatever you are developing,
Yes.
probably if you can send out that information to the trainer
Training.
actually delivering,
Right.
probably the person will have a better idea.
So the software you are saying should be capable of first the training need analysis after assessment, and the same should be delivered to the training team that this is the requirement, why the training or the goal of the training
Yeah,
or the
exactly,
outcome that is required post training should be defined very clearly. The criteria has to be clear.
exactly.
So they can
So
accordingly define their training process also and the curriculum too.
exactly, yeah,
Perfect, sir. Yeah, that is an important prospect of it.
right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And we really appreciate you coming with us and discussing on this topic. It really gave a lot of insight to us of how things are happening into IT industry, typically because it's one of the most important industry in India currently or worldwide, because
Yeah,
of the digitalization process, and post COVID it has become very, very important, where everybody is sitting probably in the corner of their own houses and they are working, so that there is a basic disconnect, but a connect has to be created.
exactly. That's true. That's correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Razi. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you
Thank
so
please
you.
do.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank you for all your insights. Good day. Bye bye.
you.
Once again.